I'd like to call to order this June 30th, 2021 regular meeting of the Board of Education. Will you please call the roll?
Mr. Gomez?
Here.
Dr. Hall?
Here.
Ms. Moffitt? Here. Ms. Schofield?
Here.
Ms. White? Here.
Before we approve the agenda tonight, we have one addition we'd like to add under board business. We'd like to add new item number, make sure I have this correct, new item number 2, and that is the Resilient Leadership Book Study. 1 will be the policy, 2 will be resilient leadership, 3 will be future agenda items, 4 committee reports, and 5 comments. Item B, motion to approve the agenda. It's recommended the Board of Education approve the agenda of the June 30th, 2021 regular Board of Education meeting. Action by the Board of Education in adoption of a consent agenda means that all items are adopted by one singular motion unless a member of the Board of Education, treasurer, or superintendent requests that any such item be removed from the consent agenda and voted upon separately.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded.
I just want to note for anyone who might be trying to follow along, the agenda we're approving is the most up-to-date one that's available electronically. So if you're following along on a paper one, there's going to be some changes tonight, just so that there's no confusion out there.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Roll call, please.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Dr. Hall?
Aye.
Ms. Moffitt? Ms. Schofield?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye. Item C, opening ceremony. Welcome. We have top Tigers with us this evening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all the family and friends that are here to support them as well. Our vision, Cuyahoga Falls City Schools, the hub of our community, committed to a culture of caring. We innovate, we create, we personalize education for all. Our mission, every student, every day, every opportunity. 2, informational items. This meeting is a meeting of the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business. It is not a public community meeting, although there are opportunities for public participation. If an individual wishes to address the board regarding a topic found on the meeting agenda, the individual must complete a registration form found inside the attendance notebook and present it to the treasurer. Following the introduction of the topic by the board president, followed by board discussion, the individual will be recognized. If an individual wishes to address the board regarding a topic not found on the meeting agenda, she or he must notify the superintendent and/or board president of the topic no later than 3 business days in advance of the meeting. These individuals may share their comments during the board business portion of the agenda. In both cases, the individual will preface comments by an announcement of his or her name and address and limit comments to 3 minutes. All statements should be directed to the board president. No person may address or question board members individually. In addition, in public session, the board will not hear complaints about school personnel nor against any person connected with the school system. An unabridged board agenda for this meeting can be found on your electronic device at the address shown on the screen, www.board.docs.com/oh/cfalls/board.nsf. And for your convenience, hard copies of the agenda may be found on the librarian's desk. The next regularly scheduled meetings of the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education is on July 14th at 5:30 p.m. in the Cuyahoga Falls High School Library, 2300 4th Street, Cuyahoga Falls. And now for our Pledge of Allegiance, Ms. Patrice White.
If you'll stand if you're able and join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. White. Item D, presentations. 1, Staff Recognition Star Award.
Thank you. Tonight we have the honor and opportunity to recognize one of our true shining stars in our district. There are really a couple of people that are behind the scenes in central office that without them, we wouldn't be able to survive. And Recently, upon her retirement, we recognize my administrative assistant, Karen Kunst, who has since been replaced by Sandy Erb, who's doing a great job. And tonight, we recognize administrative assistant for human resources and, frankly, so much more. So Peggy, would you please come to the podium? Miss Peggy Whitman. So Peggy is being recommended by our Director of Human Resources, Ms. Michaela Mcallister. And she's lucky enough to be in South Carolina by now. So she really wishes she could be here with you. But I'll do the honors based on a nomination form that she has submitted to me. So a few remarks. I might ad lib a little as well. Don't make you cry? Well, I can't promise that. Peggy Whitcomb, Administrative Assistant to the Department of Human Resources, Shining Star, June 30, 2021. It is with the utmost pleasure that I recommend on behalf of Ms. Ellen McClure, and these are her words, to the Board of Education, Ms. Peggy Whitcomb as the Staff Shining Star. There are so many reasons why Peggy is deserving of this award. Here are just a few. Number one, her contribution to our team is tremendous. Somehow I think tremendous is an understatement. Not only does she handle all of our certified staff needs, she also coordinates all of the benefits for the district and takes care of all staff wellness needs throughout the year. Number two, she is always looking for ways to improve her work and our department. She has taken courses to help with staff mental awareness and has become a notary for our district, just to name two. Three, Peggy is a champion for great causes, especially serving our veterans and our community. Recently, she was recognized by the Ohio National Guard for her involvement with Operation Mangus, which supported COVID-19 pandemic relief in Ohio. We have buildings that are Purple Star recognized buildings that are at the impetus of Peggy Whitcomb. We have a seat at our stadium that is at the impetus of Peggy Whitcomb. There are so many things behind the scenes that people really don't know that she does for us. And so that was a little bit of my improvisation. I can't promise that I won't improvise more. She is the queen of multitasking and keeps our department running smoothly, efficiently, and with a smile, even though she may be answering the same question for the 100th time that week. And that's no joke. You send out benefits information to your faculty and staff, and for whatever reason, not everybody reads it or pays attention as they should. And Peggy is patient and kind and continues to remind them over and over and over again. And some still get it wrong. She does not just wait to respond to questions as they are asked. She is consistently sending messages with important information so that our staff is always up to date. Peggy is like a human Siri. Peggy? Always helping everybody out and asking nothing in return. I'll also tell you that Peggy is our sooth. So if we want to know any information that we need to find with regard to any of our staff members, she'll find it for us. So Peggy is our super sooth, finding out all of the details that we need to know that might not be on the surface level. How she does it, not sure. I couldn't say even if I did. The bottom line is that Ellen says I would be lost without her. Well, we would be lost without Peggy. And we can't thank her enough for everything she does, not only for the Department of Human Resources, but our district and our Black Tiger family, of which you are all members. You are so incredibly deserving of this award, and you haven't cried yet, so I'm not going to stop. No. Ellen is truly so sorry that she can't be here to present this award to you in person, but I am honored to do so. Truly, Peggy, you know that we have become much more than colleagues. We are friends. Lean on each other whenever we need to, and always there for each other. We truly love you. So with that, I am going to award Peggy with our Shining Star recipient, which is a nice little plaque. I'll put it back in the box for you. She will also be the recipient of a Black Tiger pin, which all of you Top Tigers will receive as well. And we're presenting her with this certificate. The certificate is presented to Peggy Whitcomb in recognition of your outstanding contribution to the achievement of Cuyahoga Falls City School District students and support of Cuyahoga Falls City School District staff members. So there's that. Say a few words, please. I didn't ask her if she wanted to.
I would like to thank the Academy on behalf. Thank you very much. I enjoy the work I do. I love it. I love coming up with or saying, hey, Doc, I got an idea, because that leads to other things. But I really do care about our staff members. I care about our students. My children grew up in this district and graduated. So it's important that my son is here. It's important to me that our staff members know that they are cared about. And so that's why I guess I go the extra step. But I also care about my work as well. And thank you for your words and Ellen's words. It means a lot to receive this award. So thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Christy, would you do the honors and help me with Top Tigers?
Yeah.
So the Top Tiger Award is a Board of Education award. We recognize 2 students per month per building. And it is it's sponsored by Cuyahoga Falls City School District Foundation and Alumni Association. And here representing the Foundation and Alumni Association is alum Gary Metcalf.
Congratulations tonight to all the Top Tigers. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Donato's Pizza, Dietz's Florist, and Young Screen Printing. The foundation has many faces. One of them, we help with the new entrance to Clifford Stadium, Tiger Trail. And if you've ever been through there, you see their bricks, you can still purchase a brick. If you haven't been through there, please come to a game this fall. We help with class reunions. We've honored distinguished alumni. We have provided 7 teacher grants this past spring. And most of all, we provided scholarships for graduating seniors. This past year, we provided over 30 scholarships worth, 50 scholarships worth over $130,000. And we couldn't do it without our alumni. Thank you so much. Oh, what last but not least, I forgot. Top Tigers, you get a t-shirt tonight. Meet me out just outside that doorway. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Okay, the protocols for this evening, Top Tigers, if you can look at me. The protocols, I will announce your name. When I announce your name, please come up and stand next to me at the podium, just as Ms. Whitcomb just did. You will receive a bag. In the bag, you have goodies. In the bag, you have your nomination form, you have a certificate, you have a Top Tiger pin, You have a bracelet, Black Tiger Proud, and you will also receive a flower this evening. So that's the protocol. When I'm done reading the nomination form for everyone to hear, then you can return to your seats. With regard to what Mr. Metcalf had to say about the Tiger Trail, we are incorporating Tiger Trail into the design of the new stadium out at the Bullock Newberry site. So, absolutely purchase a brick and never worry that it's not going to be transferred into our new stadium. We will both recognize Laybourne's and Clifford's in that new stadium, and that's part of our design process. So just wanted to share that piece with you. One last thing that I often do is, how many of you are alumni? Raise your hand. Put your hand down if you are a member of the Foundation Alumni Association. Gary, you have a couple of people that you need to capture.
I can make you a member.
All right, so we'll get on with the festivities. First, I'd like to recognize Spencer Hall, if Spencer is here this evening. Spencer, there you are. Happy to see you. Spencer was not able to make it with us for June 2nd, so we're happy that he's here tonight. And Spencer is a 3rd grade student at Silver Lake Elementary School. Going to be a 4th grade student, Spencer? Yep, awesome. It's nominated by Miss Jessica Reichley for the month of May 2021. Spencer is being nominated for Top Tiger because of his Black Tiger Pride behaviors, both in and out of school. As a Black Tiger Remote Learning Academy student, Spencer goes out of his way to greet each of his remote classmates. Our classroom is unique in that it has students from 3 elementary schools participating in it. Spencer has made it a point to learn something new about each student and will make everyone feel welcomed. He is the definition of showing respect. In what could have been a tough year, Spencer has risen above all challenges and succeeded. His humor, creativity, compassion, and smile make our Black Tiger Remote Learning Academy class and teaching a joy each and every day. When not in school, Spencer is also active in baseball and other community activities. This year, he also welcomed a new sister into this and is a wonderful big brother. Thank you for always having a smile on your face, Spencer. You are a shining light and a true top tiger. Congratulations. Our next top tiger is a 7th grade student at Bullock Middle School, Jade Durbin. Hi, Jade. How are you today? Good. Jade is nominated by the 7th grade team. Jade comes to school and exhibits Black Tiger Pride every day. Jade is a wonderful young lady who takes responsibility for her learning by maintaining her grades and keeping up with her assignments. She exceeds behavior expectations by participating in class discussions and being respectful. She is kind to all around her and works well with others. I am so very honored to be her teacher and hope to have more Jade Durbins in the future. Thank you for being you, and congratulations. Our next top tiger is Dier Dorch. Dier is also a 7th grade student at Bullock Middle School and is being nominated by the 7th grade team. It's good to see you this evening. Dier is the student every teacher dreams of having in their class. Deere is one of the strongest work ethics I've ever seen in my teaching career. He is always going above and beyond with his academics and his behavior. He strives to reach his full potential at everything he does. He is respectful to adults and peers. He is polite and uses his manners at all times. He is the best of the best. We're so proud to have Deere and all he does here at Bullock. Congratulations. Our next top Tiger is Ava Teets. Ava is a sixth grade student at Roberts Middle School. Feels weird to say they're sixth grade students now that we're in July, I guess tomorrow. Ava is being nominated by Mr. Collado and the sixth grade teachers for the month of May. Miss Ava Teets is a sixth grader at Roberts Middle School who absolutely deserves to be a top Tiger. According to Mr. Blevins, quote, Ava comes to school with a quiet demeanor and an easy smile, but there is a determination about her that shines through, end quote. As a student in class, she is sweet and always willing to help her classmates on any given day. Mr. Collado is impressed by her work ethic, saying, quote, Ava seems to really enjoy coming to class every single day, ready to do the work that is necessary to be successful, end quote. Ava is a fantastic example of what a top Tiger is with her hard work ethic and determination to do great. Great job, Ava. You are our top Tiger. Congratulations. Our next top Tiger is Michaela Mcallister. Hi, Michaela. Michaela's going to be a senior. I can, if you'd like me to. All right. You're really, huh? That just makes me want to do it more. Michaela is nominated by Danielle Menegos. Michaela Mcallister is a current junior. You might stay that way after tonight. At Cuyahoga Falls High School. She's involved in National Honor Society, Junior Executive Committee, Student Council, varsity softball. Michaela has been described by staff members as, quote, genuinely kind of spunky too, and energetic and outgoing. She is always available to help when anything is asked of her, and she is representative of what it means to have Black Tiger pride. Congratulations, Michaela. Concludes our top Tigers for tonight.
Let's have another round of applause for all of our top Tigers. So nice of you to be with us. We're going to go ahead with the rest of our meeting. You're free to leave. Thank you for joining us. We're so proud of all of you. Have a great evening. Item E, Treasurer CFO's business by consent agenda. Ms. Christy Stoikoi.
Education approve all items listed in the treasurer's consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Any details, Ms. Stoikoi, you'd like to share with us?
Too many. It's been a stressful day. So there are multiple meetings on there that we've had in June. Donations, there are a handful. at the middle school, one at Richardson as well. And final appropriations. I think when's probably last uploaded about 2 hours ago with the final. So those are good. There's not much
July
of a
1st
change.
yet.
There's not much change from what they were last week. Just as we've gotten some more purchase orders that needed to be put on and things like that. So they haven't really changed there. Temporary appropriations for next year are about, we did 25% of this year. It's really kind of a moot point because I will do permanent appropriations in July that will cover July anyway. But it's something that just needs done to get us started until then. Advances and transfers, as you can see, those are larger than usual. And that is because mainly ESSER. There were some delays with paying out those funds due to the state budget. So that's part of it. Some of these are just encumbrances where we haven't paid yet. So we aren't able to request the money until we've actually paid. But we do have the money encumbered because it is the budget. You'll see the school fees. We went and we did advances this year as opposed to transfers. And the thought process behind that was that since we are embarking on cleaning all those fees up going into next year and in conjunction with using ESSER funds to purchase what would typically be purchased out of there, this will give the building some time to work on some outstanding fees. We have quite a large amount, and then hopefully get these back in the black or zero is really where we'd like to be. So instead of transferring, that's what we did, because hopefully throughout the year they will get quite receipts, even though we are not charging fees there. And then the transfer is just the class of 21 to the class of 22, which we do every year. Stale dated checks. You haven't seen this before. And the reason for it is that upon my going through and looking at things, and I was looking for the policy on stale dated checks, and then realized when we changed over, OSBA does not have a stale dated checks policy, so it was omitted. So we will be correcting that with the next policy committee. But in order to cover the fact that we are moving these to an unclaimed funds, because before it was in policy, so that's what covered it. This is just showing, and this will have you guys approve that, and why these are all ones that are past 90 days. They're following what the former policy was and will be, but just so that we have approval for that. And then the last thing on there, alternative tax budget. That's something we started doing last year. That's required to do similar to how we are required to approve levies if they want. That was last year. This is the same thing. Their alternative tax budget is this time of year because they are on a calendar year basis as opposed to a July through June fiscal year. Theirs is January through December. So this will get them started, and they can submit this to Summit County once this is approved. Okay.
Any comments or questions for Ms. Stoikoi? I think we're ready for the roll call.
Dr. Hall?
Aye.
Ms. Moffett?
Aye.
Ms. Schofield?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
And item F, your business now.
I'd like to recommend that the Board of Education approve the May 2021 investment schedule and monthly spending report.
So moved.
I'll second. Moved and seconded. Go ahead again, Ms. Stoikoi.
Okay. Now I gotta go back in time because my mind's in June. So, so let's look at the interest for May. So not a bad month. I think, what did I say? This was our third highest month of the fiscal year is in May. In total is around $6,600 in interest. April was 4,500, March was 4,700, February was 1,600. So we're slowly climbing our way back to some better rates at this point. Not quite fully there yet, but again, that's the third highest we've had so far this year. So that's good. Let's look at food service, 006. Please. So we are back on a level playing field here in food service. In May, we received revenues of $163,000. That is all federal funding, so you can see the increase. That's inclusive of April, which is when we started back 5 days. You can see the jump there and how that benefited us in doing that, and those kids receiving those meals, breakfast and lunch. Expenses, $157,000. Result of operations was positive. It's only, I think, the second or third time this year. So it was $6,600 to the positive, but that puts them at around $170,000 to the good. It's a little lower than they were last year. They will be receiving revenue over the summer, though. They are not typically, doesn't typically happen. And then going into next year, obviously, with the same scenarios as far as the federal reimbursement. So they should have themselves in a good position. I think when I looked today and I was doing stuff, they were around $193,000 is where they'll end the year, which isn't too bad, all things considered. They were able to make up that difference as the year went on.
Our reimbursements for summer meals comes when?
So it's like a monthly. So Bill submits that monthly, just as he does during the school year, and so we receive them on that basis.
Thank you.
And then let's look at 001. Okay, May. Let's go back to that. So revenues, 3.5, very similar to April, right along with what we did in 20 and 19. Expenditures, $5 million there. Let's see. So negative, that is fairly typical, as you can see, once we start getting into April, May, especially June. We just don't bring in, we are done with taxes. We've received that. That's half of what our revenues are. But our expenses stay pretty mainstream from month to month. So that's typical to see those negatives. We ended May at $20.4 million. I think today I looked when the closing balance was a little under 17 million, is where we will end the year, but we will see that. You'll see that next month there. Red Tree is on here, and there's nothing really necessarily to see on there that's any different than the interest. However, next month when we are closing June, because we received our bond proceeds, you will see multiple accounts under Red Tree. I know, as Brian mentioned, we will have this regular account. There's a separate account for the LFI portion of our bond proceeds, and another separate account, for our local share that's in conjunction with OFCC. And then there is, during the bond sale, there's accrued interest on those bonds, and that is in its own separate account as well. So you'll see that breakdown next month. The balances will look drastically different because there's $85 million more on the books now and in these bank accounts. So for the all funds, if you want to pull that one up real quick and just go to the bottom, we were at a little under 28 million in total at the end of May, and I think we're at like 111 million at the end of June because of the bond proceeds. So things will look drastically different for the June reports, just so you're aware. And that's it.
Any questions for Ms. Stoikoy on any of the financial reports? Roll call, please.
Ms. Moffett,
Aye.
Ms. Schofield,
Aye.
Ms. White,
Aye.
Mr. Gomez,
Aye.
Dr. Hall.
Any comments this evening?
I do. Ms. Schofield and I held yesterday morning the annual Records Commission meeting, and got rid of a lot of stuff that frees up some space. My office in particular embarked this spring on, cleaning the numerous various locations where our files are held, and trying to condense that, see what, as far as our records retention, we could now part with. We got rid of quite a bit over that period of time, but it's so much nicer. It's so much cleaner, aesthetically pleasing to me. So we were not the only ones. Chef Bill went through a lot of stuff. It was good timing as well, since they are moving over to the operations, for them to kind of go through. He had a lengthy list of things, and then Richardson as well had some. So we make it a point at our annual secretaries meeting and throughout the year to highlight the records retention schedule, go over it, provide them with the forms, let them know. Typically, Joanne will go over to their building if they would like assistance because they're unsure. So she'll go over with them to go through things. It's always a good thing to do, especially I know at some places where you're running out of space. There are probably a lot of things that can be destroyed. So these were sent to the Ohio Historical Society, who determines if there's anything of value that they would like. I don't think there is. They're looking for artifacts and things like that. And then they will give us that they are approved and that we are good. We intend on holding that meeting around this time every year. It gives everybody a little bit of time, especially in the buildings, once the students are gone and staff is gone, if they would like to do this, they have a little bit of time to do it before. So we'll probably do it the last week in June at some point. From now on, from year to year, we are required to do it once a year per policy, but we can do it, more often if there's if it's necessary. If someone has a lot of stuff and it just, it can't wait and they need to get rid of it. So slowly but surely, I think we got some other people thinking about doing it, and thinking about tackling what they have. Joanne and I went over to Schnee. I got scared. There's only a very dim light in a room that looks like I'm not sure what's in some of that stuff. So, but we never have to go back because all the stuff we could destroy. So we just need Shreddit to come get it and get out. So I know Peggy's not here, but her and Ellen were looking into going over there. There is, I should say, and then I know Joanne was going to reach out when school started. There is a lot of like PTA stuff over there, old PTA stuff. If anybody that's part of that wants to go through it or take it, some of the stuff is very old. Some of the stuff is decorations that we're probably not permitted to use anymore, as if they have an affiliation with a religious, or anything like that. We have a lot of that over there. So there's a lot of ducks in tubs. A lot of ducks in tubs. About every time Joanne turned around, hey, there's more ducks over here. So you can reach out to one of us in our office if anyone is listening, or PTA, PTO, that to come look, because there's like a couple canopies, like there's lots of stuff there. So
I think you've solicited some help.
I think, yeah.
So that is it. That's all for me. Oh, I should add real quick. I'm sure you saw, and I don't have a ton of details, but I just did want to add, and I'm sure Mr. Gomez will touch on it later as well, that the conference committee did include the Fair School funding plan in what is being sent to the governor. So that's a major step forward. There are still some things we're not sure of coming out. So we're waiting to hear some details on how some of the things will work, what the details are of the formula and how they're going to run it. But that was a lot of work and on the membership of OASBO and OSBA and BASA and all of them to get that done. And it's been a long time in the making that they've been coming up with this and testifying and all of that. So that was a positive looking into the next biennium.
Thank you, Ms. Stoikoy. Item G, Superintendent CEO's business by consent agenda. Dr. Todd Nichols.
It is recommended that the Board of Education approve all items listed in the superintendent's business consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on any of these items? Please call the roll.
Ms. Schofield,
Aye.
Ms. White,
Aye.
Mr. Gomez,
Aye.
Dr. Hall,
Aye.
Ms. Moffett.
Item H, Superintendent CEO's business. Dr. Nichols.
First item, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the attached resolution authorizing an alternative learning opportunity with ESC of Western Reserve for the 2021-2022 school year.
So moved.
I'll second. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
I would like to know, since some things were brought up about the amount of time that the students will be spending with an instructor, how much of it might be online with just their independent work. I think we're asking for a few more details.
I'll defer to Dr. Cruz.
So they're currently working on their schedule and they're trying to accommodate, assuming that there will be families, kids in different grade levels. And right now they're looking at a block schedule for all grades so that not typical in elementary, but it would be more like a high school schedule of having different periods for the courses. The more communication we've had with them recently, the more we're learning about their options, and they're also growing. So I think we have a real skeletal understanding of all that they're going to be able to do. Just recently today, we learned that they are working towards providing some honors and AP courses. They're working on providing services for students who have gifted identification. I think the last meeting we talked about being able to provide services for students on IEP or 504. And the timing of when the students are face-to-face, synchronous versus asynchronous is going to be a little bit more clear in the coming weeks once they have a better understanding of their enrollment. But it looks to be that there will be a schedule for students and there will be opportunities for that synchronous time for each course and also office hours and time for them to have some differentiated instructional time, small group or one-on-one with the instructors.
So out of the 84 students that initially identified a desire to participate in some kind of remote learning academy, that is down to 42 now as of this morning.
Correct, 42.
So we're talking about 42 students across the district, about half at the high school, just short of half, maybe a
Yeah,
third.
it was interesting. It was, I don't know if my numbers are exact, but I think like 19 K to 5, 19 high school, and then only like 6 in the middle grades. That may or may not add up to 42. Christie?
We can round up.
We have-
Okay, whatever
Yeah,
Mr.
let's
Hutch would
provide
like.
me with confidence.
That's from cabinet this morning.
That's right. About 20, about 5.
But that's where we are. It's, you know, it's the most viable option that we have right now for that limited number of students. Is really what it comes down to. So,
Any further questions for Dr. Cruz or Dr. Nichols?
Just want to make sure that we really, I know that it's only 42, but we really need to engage with those families. Some of the confusion I heard from some of these people was that it wasn't explained to them why we were shifting options. And I understand that, and I tried to help them understand that. But that would have been a key piece for them, like an aha moment, like, oh, there's less than 100. I understand. So we just need to very clearly communicate that with our families that are interested. Perhaps look into opportunities for them to have like a meeting or Q&A session to really get information so that if they commit their student to this option for the year, that they really have the information they need to make the best decision for their kids.
we would be happy to do that. We discussed that today in cabinet as well. We didn't necessarily want to put the cart before the horse if the board said no, that we didn't want to go too far down that path. But now that, well, I'm assuming that it's going to be approved based on the comments tonight. And then, yes, then we appreciate your comments in terms of making sure that they're well taken care of.
Also, do we have a number that they cap us at?
Not that I'm aware of. It seems that they are willing to accommodate whatever we,
So we can continue to grow if more families express an interest in us.
yes.
Dr. Cruz, you had something else you wanted to add?
Just to follow up on last board meeting, the conversation centered around wanting to make sure that these families and students felt that they're still a part of the community. And so we've talked a little bit about how to make sure that that happens. And one of the ways is just making sure that they are a part of our communication. So the email blast, making sure that they're a part of, whether it's the dojo messages or the remind messages, the Blackboard messages, making sure that they're part of that email distribution list. And I verified today, actually with Chris Shaw, that will happen based on how they're linked in our system. They'll still receive all this communication. And then we are also planning to work with our school counselors as being that point of contact. Talking again with some of the administrators about how that's an appropriate role for the counselor to be able to reach out and have a check-in and just make sure that they're there, doing okay. So I know there was some conversation at the last board meeting about how to make that happen, and I thought that the counselor was a good point person for the family.
Could we make sure that that sort of happens early on? Because I mean, I think many of us have been in the classroom. And unless you engage with someone immediately, you lose an opportunity for them to feel like an involved person or a student. So the sooner, my opinion, and I think maybe some others agree, the sooner that we can engage with them individually and maybe face to face, I think the more that they will feel like they are part of our Black Tiger family. So if that can be done, even, reaching out to them before school starts to let them know we're aware of it, we welcome them to our family, just a sort of a welcome that we may not have been able to do previously. So, just food for thought.
Thank you, Dr. Cruz. Roll call, please.
Mr. Gomez,
Hi.
Dr. Hall,
Aye.
Ms. Moffett,
Aye.
Ms. Schofield,
Aye.
Ms. White.
Second item, I believe is contract for services with National Geographic Cengage Learning. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the contract between Cuyahoga Falls City School District and National Geographic Cengage Learning.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion on Cengage.
So the intent here is ultimately we want as many of our students to achieve Algebra 1 by the end of 8th grade as possible. That comes with all kinds of research that is a gateway course at that time, coming into high school, having already taken Algebra 1. We have seen over and over and over again how our students, in terms of their percentile rank, particularly in mathematics, start out at a pretty decent percentile rank. And over the course of our math curriculum and instruction, for whatever reason, that percentile rank or average percentile rank diminishes. And so we're consistently trying to find ways to improve our math curriculum and instruction. Ben Davis, who's a teacher at Bullock Middle School, fantastic teacher at Bullock Middle School. He and Ryan really were even talking about this as of a couple of years ago. And how could we blend 6th and 7th grade math? Because the standards, that is an appropriate time for those to be blended because they're not much different. It just goes a little deeper in terms of 7th grade. And so that's the opportunity. And so he'd like to pilot this, and it's aligned with the math curriculum that we recently adopted. And so we'd like to try this, pilot this with a couple of courses and see if it is a viable option for us to compact the 6th and 7th grade standards in mathematics, and therefore have more kids that are prepared to complete Algebra 1 by the time they leave 8th grade. And so that's in part why we're recommending it. Do you have anything you want to add to that, Dr. Cruz?
I'm just looking at some of the data recently and the students who have been successful in those courses. This is really, it's a great way to compact that curriculum and build a solid foundation so that those students continue to be successful. And there is that potential for more students to be successful in that pathway when it's compacted this way. So I fully support it.
So I'm just trying to figure out here. There seems to be just a couple different issues. First of all, there's the compacting issue. Taking 6th grade math standards and 7th grade math standards and putting them together and having selected students take 1 year rather than 2 years to accomplish those. I understand that and certainly support that. The next piece is, how do we go about teaching those students in 1 year rather than 2 years? And that to me is a curriculum issue then. We should have a scope and sequence of what are the standards that are to be taught, which ones in more depth than others. How long do we spend on this concept to get through both years of the curriculum in 1 year? To me, those are questions that have to be decided in more of a curriculum study framework and by the teacher that is working to compact that. I'm not clear really what buying National Geographic Cengage, how that's accomplished by purchasing this program. So that's where my confusion is.
I understand that Ben Davis has been approved for additional curricular time to do exactly what you described, and looking at the standards and how they align to the curriculum and revamping the instructional approach so that the foundation is stronger for the students who move through, essentially looking at them just taking the 7th grade assessment as 6th graders. They will be more prepared because their foundation is stronger with having the 6th grade standards embedded in that course. So he is, from my understanding, planning to do that curricular work.
And unfortunately, I mean, up to this point, we've just taken 6th grade kids in terms of our acceleration program. We've taken the 6th grade kids and just moved them into 7th grade. I mean, well,
They've been successful.
they have done well.
So I guess my last question is then, why can't we take our existing sixth grade program, our existing seventh grade program, as Mr. Davis works to compact it? Why do we need another resource over here?
I think it's another resource that connects with the existing curriculum. So I think instead of him as an individual making those decisions, the Cengage piece provides some guidance in how to compact that curriculum.
I think it's guidance and support, and I guess the piece that works for me is the alignment with the big ideas, curriculum adoption that we've already gone down. So
My final question, this won't take place at Roberts, only at Bullock, or only at Bullock, not at Roberts?
Ben is our instructor that's doing it, and so the only way that it would take place with Bullock and Roberts is have him work with the Roberts students as well. And he's piloting a couple of courses. It's a pilot situation, similar to what we have in terms of our literacy pilots going on at 2 of our elementaries.
I guess my question then is, with the literacy piece, everything was done and ready, and then we piloted. And it seems like we're mixing the cake as it's in the oven here a little bit, where we're not perhaps ready yet to pilot a program because the other piece isn't done. Or I could be misunderstanding.
I respect your opinion, but I'll go back to the statement that I made at the very beginning, that Ben has been looking at this for the last couple of years, looking at doing, how can we bring these two pieces together? So the cake may be more done than we want to admit, simply from the standpoint that it's happened behind the scenes.
So is there a course of study, or is he's working on it?
That's what we approved him for extra time.
And then is it his recommendation that this resource benefits his course of study?
Yes.
Okay, that helps me. And then my last question.
Ben brought this to Ms. Dodds.
That's helpful information to know. My last question is, can you, and at your leisure, share some of that math research? I'd be interested in reading it.
Okay.
About Algebra 1 and how that would just be interesting.
Yeah, it comes right out of Summit Education Initiative. Matt Devers, Dr. Devers there. I mean, yeah. So we'd be happy to do that.
I do believe that there was some planning for this pre-COVID, and when things were happening last year, the decision was made to pull back from this particular plan. So I'm not obviously privy to those conversations. I believe, like you said, that this has been something that has been desired based on need.
My only remaining concern would be then that if it's been determined that it's better for students to compact sixth and seventh grade curriculum into 1 year, then we need to do that for all the kids,
We agree.
Bullock and Roberts.
We agree. I mean, that's part of the pilot. See if it works as we think it will work, and then expand it, not just for our accelerated students, but as many students as we possibly can. Again, going back to the original objective is getting as many kids through Algebra 1 by 8th grade, end of 8th grade, as we possibly can.
Any further questions or conversation about this item? Please
That's
go-
my
oh,
last question
go
too,
ahead.
because I'm thinking about the Bullock versus Roberts teachers.
Mhm.
Will Ben have a line of communication with the Roberts teacher or Roberts teachers so that he can perhaps share some things that are working for him that they could implement in their classrooms as well?
Yeah, he already does. It already exists with this Mr. McGovern. One of the things that I am, and I was talking with Care Walter about it this morning. One of the things that I'm most proud of our team, 6 through 12 team over this last year, is they've done a great job coming together as a 6 through 12 team, now that we got Mr. Hutch out of there. No, all joking aside, and not saying that because Allie's in the room, but truthfully, Kara was in my office this morning, and not only did she learn a lot in this last year, but that team is working together better than they ever have. So yes, there is there's shared team meetings, between the two buildings. It's not just this BLT and that BLT. They work together. Everybody up fully understands that and it's going to take a little more time. I'm not saying it's perfect now, but everybody fully understands that it's time to come together as a 612 building, because that's who we are now. The physical structure is going to be there, but the internal structure, it's time. It's time.
I think that's not only important for board members to know, but for the community members to know as well, because the more they know that these things are being shared between the buildings, I think the more comfortable they might be with seeing something actively being worked on in one building, but perhaps not as rigorously worked on in the other building, but they know that there's a connection. So I think that will help satisfy community members as well.
Well, we know we have, I'll give another example. We know we have a Kiwanis group, associated group at one building, and a Rotary group associated with the other building. Kids from either building can join either club, and they do. And so those are just steps that we're taking, not just curricularly, but in all areas, that I want to make it very loud and clear for any staff members listening or any community member that's out there. It's time, 6 through 12. That's who we are. And so while the physical structure is coming, the internal structure's got to be there now. Right, Amy?
I think we're ready for the roll call.
Mr. Gomez,
Aye.
Dr. Hall,
Aye.
Ms. Moffitt,
Hi.
Ms. Schofield,
Aye.
Ms. White.
Thank you. Our next item on this section of the agenda is contract for services with Quaver Music. It's recommended that the Board of Education approve the contract between Cuyahoga Falls City School District and Quaver Music.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion on Quaver.
I'd like to know more about it. From reading it, it appears as though it might be technology heavy, and it aligns the music program as stated in our agenda or our notes, pre-K through 8. So I was wondering how this works, and not only that, now that our kids are going to be back in the classroom and we aren't going to be doing remote learning per se from our classrooms, what is the advantage of this particular program for our music program when our kids are going to be physically present in the classroom? That's my question.
Dr.
I'm
Chris?
glad you asked. I had a chance to talk with Jennifer
Culver. Yeah, Jen Culver.
and with Julie and we talked quite a bit about what this program entails. And the way you just worded the question was what I was asking. We're back in, walk in, tell me how this would look in a music classroom. We don't want to see kids behind a screen, especially in an arts setting. And I was really excited to hear how this program could be used as an introduction to a lesson, providing an opportunity for students to, she gave a great example, and I'm going to completely botch it, but it was something with rhythm, and how they could provide an authentic video introduction that would then spin off into her teaching the kids something specific to that, and then the kids actually engaging with the instruments in the classroom. So the idea of having this kind of a centralized location for their music lessons was appealing because it sort of levels the playing field across all elementary buildings. regardless of what materials they may or may not have in their classrooms, they're all able to engage and watch and participate in something. Another piece that she mentioned specifically was that it has an abundance of non-Western music, being able to incorporate that diversity piece that is really important. And she couldn't say enough good things about it. But that piece to me was crucial to hear how the kids are going to be able to engage in this. Kind of a quick introductory video, a teaching moment, and then having some opportunity to practice. She went on and on. There's so much more that she said about it, but if that answers your question, I'll stop talking.
Thank you.
But there were great things that she mentioned. An assessment piece was one. Again, going back to this idea of rhythm, clearly I have none. She talked about the being able to provide an individual assessment for the students, so she could really, the teacher would really be able to see where the students are in terms of whatever it is that they're instructing and assessing. So that piece was there as well. It sounded to me like a nice, an appropriate supplement to their current program of instruction, which I believe hasn't been updated since at least 2000, perhaps even earlier.
I was just curious. I'm the language arts teacher who, when we listen to things in the classroom, asked the kids what time signature it was in. So, I mean, there's so much that can be done across curricular that I'm looking for something that can probably boost our music classes, whether they're instrumental or vocal, but also give the kids plenty of opportunity to be engaged physically, moving around the classroom, doing all of those things, and not just sitting in front of a screen, because that's worrisome. They get enough of that time. So thank you for
So
answering that.
that probably was our biggest collective concern, was that we want kids singing and moving and playing instruments and actively engaged in their music class, not one more section of screen time. So that probably was our initial concern. But the bigger concern, going back to curriculum again, because I beat this drum hard, so get used to this rhythm. That when we were given a curriculum study schedule, tentative schedule, one of the questions that was asked was, are areas like general music and art and so on part of this study, so that the teachers that are teaching those classes, let's just say our 6 elementary music teachers, will they have an opportunity to look at instructional resources, come to consensus on vocabulary, terminology, whatever the things are, and do a curriculum study as well, so that they can collectively design the types of standards that are going to be focused on each grade level, and then find appropriate instructional materials that if it's rhythm instruments, if it's recordings of great pieces of music, if it's whatever, that we can then provide that so that our kids have what they need. And I was told yes, that music and art and everything would be part of it. So it always strikes me as out of the blue of the western sky then comes, we'll call it Quaver Ed. No curriculum study, no consensus among the buildings that we're going to teach rhythm or time or beat or whatever in kindergarten or 3rd grade. Here's our recommendation. Those are my concerns. I want this to be more than I found a good thing and let's buy it. I want it to be thoughtful and systemic. I want our music teachers to collectively agree on, like I said, whether it's a vocabulary, terminology, standards of emphasis, whatever, because our kids take music every year and we want things to be sequential. We want them to be meaningful. We want them to be engaging. And so that is my bigger concern. Not is Quaver Ed got some good stuff? Probably does. But how does this fit into our big picture of curriculum study? That is my question. No, I don't expect you to have an answer for everything. You're sitting at the table for the first time. God love you, but Dr. Hall?
Yeah, so my kids used Quaver Music last year in kindergarten, and I think during the pandemic, especially having to sit in front of the screen a lot of time, it was really useful. I echo your concern. I'm glad you used the word supplement because I think it's important that it be a supplement and not the touchstone necessarily. I was going to say, it's kind of a shiny object. When we think about Schmoker, there's this sense in the very beginning of the book that, we tend to latch on to pieces of technology because they're there, and then not, really benefit from them. In fact, take away from the education. So as useful as it was during the pandemic, and I see that it could be useful in a regular face-to-face kind of a situation as well. I think the important thing is that it be a supplement and not leaned on so heavily that it sort of becomes the class, right? And I think that's essentially what you were saying. But I just wanted to chime in on that too, since I did, have to navigate through it myself with my own kids. And I mean, honestly, one of my daughters is on an IEP, so for her, music class was really fun during the pandemic because it was something different that she could go do. A lot of times it was like a cartoon, but it would be teaching her rhythm and harmony and those kinds of things that it would be difficult for me to teach her, even as a musician, without something like this. So, yeah.
I just don't want to lose sight of it. I don't want things in isolation. I don't want, that shiny object to be something that the board approves. I don't care how much money it is. If it's $1 and it's $1 poorly spent, then it's $1 not in the right thing. So I want us to be real thoughtful about how we do this work.
Well, maybe since there's different music that usually they don't listen to, maybe they could do some writing about that diversification there.
Amen.
You've read a little too much smoker.
I've been looking at their website, and Quaver Music is like a subset of Quaver. They're focused on elementary school learning, and seem like a good company based on what they promote on their website. A lot of the things that we are trying to do in this district, and it says that their principal mission is to support this culture of caring in elementary schools around the world. So, well aligned with our goals here in this district. So I thought
Great, and a great marketing campaign as well. All right, well, any further discussion on Quaver then?
As long as the kids can learn Johnny Schmoker, can you sing? Can you play? I can play.
Go ahead.
I can-
Roll call. Quickly.
Dr. Hall,
Aye.
Ms. Moffitt,
Aye.
Ms. Schofield,
Aye.
Ms. White,
Aye.
Mr. Gopher.
Comments, Dr. Nichols?
Yeah, just three. So we've received some comments with regard to the policy that we passed last time with, facial coverings and so on and so forth. I have reached out to Tanya Burford and Donna Skoda with regard to their current recommendations and so on and so forth, and I'll continue to do so. And I'll share that information with you as a board. We know that issue continues to be a hot button issue, and we all want to do the right thing. So that's where I am with that. I just wanted to share that with you that I've connected with them. Piece of really, it's going to have to be, it will be part of our good news report somewhere. We ran in cabinet today, we ran the amortization table using the interest rates and with the current evaluation in the district. Over the life of the bond issues, over the life of 36 years, it's going to save us about $29 million in interest. That's what we ran today, right? So, I mean, that's a big number. And because of how that affects the average millage rate over the life, it is akin to when we estimated 4.5%, we used $180 per $100,000 property valuation per month. So, or per year, sorry, per year. And it is about 130. It's what we determined today, right?
Mhm.
About 130 over 36 years. I mean, that's substantial savings. So we're going to run that as a, basically a good news press release kind of a thing, roar article, et cetera, in conjunction with the interest rates. On the flip side, the investment strategies, you're going to, it added to the project is the amount of investment interest that we're receiving. So try to make folks fully aware of those kinds of things that are strictly associated with, it's not associated with the general fund, it's strictly associated with the building project. Those are a couple of good news pieces that I've shared bits and pieces with you before, but we actually ran the numbers today, and that's what it is. I also provided you with the skeleton version of the administrative overarching academic goals and their action plans. It's obviously not in a final copy, but work in progress, and that's where we are right now. And I appreciate Sandy's efforts to compile all this information and make sure that, Karen set it up for a place to take it, and Sandy picked it up from there and worked with our administrators to make sure that they had the right stuff in the right place. So I appreciate their efforts. That's what I have.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols. Item I, board business. Item 1, policy approval and adoption. It's recommended the Board of Education approve and adopt the following policies, which were reviewed at the June 16th, 2021 Board of Education meeting.
So moved.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on any of these policies?
Just for sake of clarity, DID inventories was not reviewed at the June 16th meeting, just for sake of clarity, but Ms. Schofield, Ms. Stoikoi, staring at you and thinking ass names, set out that she had found a little oopsie in that. So we're just getting that approved.
Roll call.
Ms. Moffett,
Aye.
Ms. Schofield,
Aye.
Ms. White,
Aye.
Mr. Gomez,
Aye.
Dr. Hall.
Our new item 2 that we added to our agenda was the Resilient Leadership book study. All of you received in your packets on Friday the proposal from Mr. John Moyer for the book study on resilient leadership. You might remember at our last meeting, Ms. Stoikoi spoke about her participation in this previously. Any conversation about this? I'd like to move forward so that Dr. Nichols can order our books and we can get this underway.
They've been ordered.
Oh, even better.
Well,
Any conversation about this?
You can take one off because I got it and read it.
Do we need to approve this?
Sorry. I know, I
Normally.
can't, I can't help
I'd
myself.
like to.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve the proposal.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve a proposal submitted by Mr. John Moyer. Any further discussion?
I had one thing. When we go to create our reading groups, I think we missed Ms. Osland last
did.
year.
About that.
So I thought about that
Mhm.
over.
Yep, we've already,
So, okay.
yes, thank
Wanna
you.
Make sure we were.
Yep.
Especially since she has good insight on this topic.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Ms. Schofield,
Aye.
Ms. White,
aye.
Mr. Gomez,
Aye.
Dr. Hall,
Aye.
Ms. Moffett.
Aye.
Committee reports. Alliance for School and Community.
Future agenda items.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, please excuse me. Future agenda items. We have one meeting in July. Okay, we'll go ahead with committee reports then. Alliance for School and Community Growth, Mrs. Moffett,
We shall not be meeting until August.
thank you. Athletics and Activity Council, Dr. Hall.
I got it for you.
Yeah.
He'd like to do it Monday.
I will get back to you on the definite.
All righty.
when there.
Thank you, Dr. Hall.
He's gonna be on vacation the next week. So if he can do it Monday, what did he say? He said, I have vacation planned the next week. So next Monday, if people can do it.
Board policy, Ms. White, Mr. Gomez.
None, but I think we need to make a date.
Yeah, I think you saw it in my notes. We discussed it in cabinet. We had a couple of dates in July, but then, you
Yeah.
suggested that we're gonna get the PDQ in August, the August version. So we could do it after August. We may want to do some things before that.
Yeah, I'd like to meet in July just because we need to do the homework on late work.
And we need
Oh,
Ms.
yeah.
Stoiko's, the policy that was overlooked.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can.
And that, I mean,
So we could
let's
do
go ahead
that
and knock those out.
for those. And then
I will tell you that we reviewed policy late work today in cabinet. The recommendation that has come from Dr. Cruz's department. We reviewed that today in cabinet, and that'll be in your notes
Okay.
this weekend.
Does that include the homework part of that?
It is actually an amendment to a current policy,
Okay.
and I'll share it in your notes. this
Okay.
weekend.
Thank you.
So we'll be meeting.
So you will be
sometime next
meeting.
month.
All righty.
I think I put in a couple of dates
I have
last time.
13th or 21st. I would prefer the 21st.
21st, I don't
Is that
care.
okay?
21st?
At
That was one of
5:15.
the
What's your-
dates we
what's your look-
said.
What's your schedule look like,
I
Kristen?
think that's okay.
You
Hold
do
on.
fine.
Let me just open it. Yeah, that's fine.
21st at,
5:05.
we can do it.
5:05.
Business Advisory Council, Mrs. Moffett, Ms. White.
We're gonna have to kick back up in August. We also have empty seats that we're going to have to fill those empty seats. We will, going back to the Alliance piece, we're gonna start meeting again in person, and hopefully we'll gain more attendance and so on and so forth. By meeting in person, we lost some folks during Zoom time.
I know I said the person that opened the bookshop here in Cuyahoga Falls wants to be on the Alliance. She would be worth asking about being on BAC as well. I think she might be willing to do that. She's very enthused about education. I have somebody opened a plant shop in Cuyahoga Falls, and they want to see how they can support our urban agriculture program. So
Okay.
I'll send that information out as well.
Yeah, forward that to me for the Alliance and we'll continue to grow that group. But that name that you gave me, I did add it to the address list.
Financial Advisory Committee, Dr. Hall.
Perhaps Ms. Stoico can verify for me that our next meeting is August 19th.
I believe that is correct.
All right, thank you. Foundation and Alumni Association, Mr. Gomez.
We are not meeting until August.
All righty. Legislative Liaison, Mr. Gomez again.
I'll do the two little ones first. House Bill 82 passed both houses and went to the governor for his signature. It grants a waiver for 11th graders that they don't have to take the SAT or ACT since they did not take it last year as 10th graders because there was a waiver. So they're continuing that waiver. It's a convoluted piece of legislation, but it's as simple as they get. House Bill 244 was a really good piece of legislation on military students, so that made it easier for military students to enroll in schools. But then they subsequently added some weird stuff about vaccines,
And
masks, and the other thing was about quarantines and health department. Some real random pieces of stuff in there. So there's a possibility that the governor might veto that yet, and then we'd see if it would be overridden. And then the budget was passed. The synopsis of the budget is 234 pages. So if that tells you anything about how much is in the budget, I think people are still unpacking pieces and parts of that. They did include fair school funding as approved by the House. So as we know, if we go back to our Cup-Patterson presentations, it's not exactly that. And they also rolled in student success and wellness funds into that, so it won't be a separate line item as well. So I'm interested to see what the governor's gonna do about that, because he made very strong promises to school leaders that this would always be funded, and he said he will never sign a budget that did not fund those programs separately. So we will see what happens. We'll see what line item vetoes he does, and then once he signs it and scratches out parts of it, we'll know what we're really working with.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. And student achievement, we had our last Zoom meeting across the state in early June, and we won't meet again until August. Ready for item J, executive session pursuant to a,
Comments.
oh, geez, I'll tell you, what am I doing tonight? Comments? Mrs. Moffett, you're up first.
I'll keep mine brief. I would like to thank Mr. Roselko for all of the wonderful work that he did outside of the school hours with the foundation. And I know he's been very active in a lot of other organizations, but the time that he spent coming to our meetings, the work that he did for us was so appreciated by members of the foundation. He was such a wonderful asset. He even joined as a friend, and he will be deeply, deeply missed. Also, I'd like to thank or recognize Mrs. Whitcomb for the wonderful person that she is. It has been joyful to see the messages that she posts every Monday to lift our spirits, even when it's not an easy time for her. And as a Facebook friend, I am in awe of the work that she does with the Horse Barn, because they are a group of people who do therapy for people who benefit from equine therapy. Is that the correct term? But she is such an asset to our school system. I'd like to thank us for recognizing her. Done.
Thanks. I'm up next. Just wondering your thoughts on Top Tigers moving forward, whether you'd like to continue having our elementary children at the first meeting and then middle school and high school at the second. As it stands now, our elementary children will need to be masked because they won't be vaccinated. And according to board policy, we will enforce that for unvaccinated, anyone who's unvaccinated. That, of course, would provide more social distancing space and so on as well, as we've seen this year. Or the other option is to have everyone together the first meeting of the month, as we used to do it pre-pandemic. So your thoughts?
My vote is for two. I would like to see them to being recognized in the way we have done this past year.
At both
Two.
meetings,
Right,
elementary one meeting and
please.
middle and high school at the other? Board members, is that your
I agree with
consensus?
that, and I also like giving them the bag, because then they actually get to hear what's being said, as opposed to being distracted by
I like that too.
shaking our hand.
Okay. Dr. Nichols will have folks recognized at both our meetings then. Thank you. Ms. White
None.
and Mr. Gomez.
Two things. One, I saw that one of our student athletes, Grace Lowe, we came in 7th at states, and that's just really wonderful. We need to highlight that. Going forward, I'm optimistic that we need as a board to do more to honor our student athletes, especially if you go to states and place in the top 10, that's somebody we should be doing something to honor. So going forward, I'd like to see us do more of that and making sure that, because they are student athletes, and if they're not doing it in the classroom, they don't get to make it on the field. So just put that out there. And then also, I'm optimistic that we will have a clear guidance that we can give to families as what the fall will look like. We still have Return to School 2020 on our homepage, and I'm getting questions from families as they see in the paper other districts announcing what it's going to look like. So we can get that out there. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. And Dr. Hall.
Yeah, I don't have much. I was just going to echo the congratulations to Ms. Whitcomb. And then also, I just wanted to thank Mr. Rigatti and his team for the work that's going on at Shanae. It really stuck out to me in the packet this week. My kids went to ESC over by Bullock there.
Newberry.
Yes, Newberry. Thank you. Slipped my mind. And you know, seeing the progress that's being made over there in the packet is great. So thank you very much. Yeah. That's all.
Thank you, Dr. Hall. Now we're ready for item J, executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, section 121.22G1. It is hereby moved that the board adjourn to executive session for the purpose of considering the employment of a public employee.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. White,
Aye.
Mr. Gomez,
Aye.
Dr. Hall.
Aye.
Ms. Moffett,
Aye.
Ms. Schofield.
Aye.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I always get excited when I read about.
I haven't been, this hasn't been over 7 o'clock yet. I
Good
don't know what
stuff.
time- The last time.